On this episode of West Chicago Railroad, let's take a look at the Lionel LionChief Plus 2.0 Santa Fe Berkshire, number 4101. Hi folks, Matt here from West Chicago Railroad. Today, we're going to be reviewing the new Lionel LionChief Plus 2.0 Berkshires that were offered in the 2019 Big Book catalog from Lionel. So let's go over some brief history. The Class A1 Berkshire locomotive is a 284 steam locomotive, first built in 1925 by the Lima Locomotive Works. Now, the Berkshire locomotive was named for its testing location on the Berkshire Hills of the Boston and Albany Railroad. Over 600 were built by the Lima Locomotive Works, the American Locomotive Company, and the Baldwin Locomotive Works. So a total of 19 different railroads purchased Berkshires. Now, multiple locomotives of this kind survive today. These include the Pere Marquette, number 1225, and the Nickel Plate Road, number 765. These are the only operating examples of this type. There are others that are still undergoing restoration. So Lionel offered these in the 2019 Big Book catalog, and they offered them in 10 railroad names. Now, one is only available in a set. So there's the Santa Fe, which is obviously shown here, Nickel Plate Road, Chesapeake and Ohio, Southern, Disney, Polar Express, North Pole Central, Halloween, and then there are two sets. There is a Nickel Plate Freight set, and then there is a Pennsylvania Passenger set, and it seems like the only way to get the Pennsylvania version is to actually buy the set. So let's go over some features. There are 4 ways to run this. You can run it conventionally. You can run it with a LionChief remote. Now, that is not included with these particular engines. You can run it by Bluetooth, so you can use an app on your phone. And you can run it in command control with either the Cab 1 or Cab 2 controller. So these engines are semi-scale. There are lighted marker lights in the front. There's obviously a headlight. There is a flickering firebox in the cab. There's a light in the cab when the engine is stationary. You can change the pitch of the whistle and bell, and I believe there are 5 levels for each. I'll go ahead and show you that in more detail a little bit later in the review. The entire body frame, so the boiler, the frame, and the tender are all die-cast. It has the rail sound system, has electrocoupler on the tender, has crew figures, so there's an engineer and a fireman. It has a fan-driven smoke unit, and it puts out some pretty decent smoke, I can tell you that. The length is about 20 inches, and the minimum curve on this is 0.31, so this is super safe for really small layouts. In fact, it was pretty much made for small layouts. So let's look at some additional detail. So there is a small little tiny scale coupler here in the front. It's kind of cool. There are 2 marker lights. There's a really cool bell. Again, there's a headlight here. The gearing here and the rods and stuff are actually really cool. They did a good job here. There are 2 handrails that go down the sides. You have your stack here, and again, easy. You want to load smoke. Again, I use a funnel to do it, but you put your drops down in there and you're good to go. So here we have the back truck and the back of the drivers here. A lot of molded in detail, so keep in mind this is a LionChief Plus model, so it's not going to have a lot of add-on detail, but for what it has and the price that you pay, they did a really good job here. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the tender. Great Santa Fe and number here on the side, same in the back. There is no backup light on this tender. Is that a big deal? Well, that would be up to you to decide. For me, not really. Okay, folks, one last item I did want to cover on the tender is the fact that they are only 2 axles per truck, as you can see. And the real Berkshire tenders have 3 axles per truck. So obviously, Lionel had to cut some corners here to get the price down on these. And it seems the tender obviously got hit a little bit more than anything else. Now, I'm fine with that. If I were to choose which part of the engine or the tender you wanted to take something off, I would probably say tender myself, because really the tender is fantastic looking. There's nothing wrong with it. It is all die cast too. It's beautiful. Even got like rivet detail here. So no complaints on the tender. Do I wish that it had 3 axles per truck? Sure. I mean, that would have been great. But to me, it's not a deal breaker, but I did want to point that out just for the folks that may have a question on that particular item. And just see if I could squeeze the camera, zoom in there. There is an engineer and a fireman in there, and then back there is a flickering firebox. It's a pretty cool effect on this. As for the cab itself, you know, it's all molded in detail. It's fine for what it is. All right, so enough of the technical stuff. Let's get into the good stuff here, right? Let's go ahead and start her up and look at some of the features. Now, I'm going to start it up using the Bluetooth app first. We'll go over the features. Then I'm going to run it with the Legacy app. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because the Legacy remote actually offers a few additional features on this particular model. Okay, so again, we're going to start up with the Bluetooth now. It does run in conventional mode. It does run with the LionChief remote. I don't have either of those, so it's not something that I can show, unfortunately. Okay, let's go ahead and start it up with the Bluetooth app and go over some features. So let this focus in. I'm going to go up here. It says no connected locomotive, so we're going to click that. We're going to find our Santa Fe Berkshire, and we're going to hit connect. And it's going to start right up for us. All right, so basically, you can initiate the crew talk with that.
Brake test complete. Are we clear to pull? Over. Timers are running on the plant now. You're the next move. Out.
Initiate the bell here. Here's the whistle. So if you hold it down, you know, the whistle will last longer. You can adjust the volume in here. Again, all the different levels. This is where you can change the pitch, what I was talking about. So you can change the pitch of the whistle. So every time you move it, and it's the same thing with, it's got a little bit of a delay, it seems. And you can do the same thing with the bell. You can just change the pitch on how you want it. And I believe those are saved after you turn off the engine, so when you come back on, it'll have the same pitch that you had originally selected. So here you can choose the individual volumes. That. You can do forward or reverse here. You hit the gear, you can set the momentum level, the smoke volume. Again, you can turn it this way too, kind of says up here. You can set a speed limit. So if you have kids running this and you don't want them to, you know, run it at full speed, then you can set that as kind of a safety. So in order to get this thing started, all we have to do is just move the throttle here. Oh boy, okay, well, that took off pretty fast, right? And we hit reverse. Do a little bit slower this time. All right, so next, I'm going to show you how to operate it with the legacy remote. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it up with the legacy remote. So I'm going to go ahead and hit engine 4, turn it on. All right, cool. Most of the functionality here is the same. You know, whistle here, bell here. You can change the pitch with the legacy remote as well. If you hit aux 1 and then either the bell or the whistle, it'll change the pitch. Now, this thing has the same crew talk.
Dispatcher, error is made. Brake test complete. Are we clear to pull? Over. You are clear to depart on your cab signal indication. Out.
However, this also has some additional sounds using the
Safeties are lifted. Ease
crew
on the
voice
goal.
here. So that would be number 7 on the legacy or cab 1, cab 2 remote. And
These long waits are brutal. At least the back hit keeps the coffee on.
it's kind of like the crew talking to themselves.
Make a note for the house. The right injector needs some attention. Finally, a highball. Let's get rolling.
So it's kind of cool. Something different from the normal, you know, talking to the dispatcher. Now, there are some additional audio features available with the legacy remote. You can add water to the tender. So if I hold down 3, as long as I keep it held down, it's going to keep pouring water into that tender. You can do a blowdown effect, so that would be number 6. So you can also fill the tender with coal. So right here is the reset button, soft key, but if you hold it down, you'll get a whistle, but then if you keep holding it down, you'll get the sound of coal pouring into the tender. And as long as you have it held down, it'll just keep pouring. And then you can adjust the smoke from here as well. Again, blow the whistle. Now you can't quill the whistle here. It does have a pitch change, but it does that no matter what controller you're using. It does it on the Bluetooth app, does it on my legacy remote here. It sounds like it's kind of quilling, but it's just really not. There is no quillable whistle on this particular locomotive. Again, here's the coupler. So here's the coupler. I can change the direction. And then I can apply the brakes. Change the direction again.
Let's get it up to track speed.
Yeah, so there are some great audio features that you can use if you have the legacy remote. Now, obviously, with the Bluetooth app, there's a lot of stuff there that you can do and have fun. And, you know, if you got kids, you know, a lot of the stuff they're not going to really care about. But if you have a legacy remote or a Cab 1 remote, I highly recommend you use that just to kind of gain access to these additional features. Now, because I have it set up as TMCC, I can run it with other TMCC engines. I can put a Station Sounds car on here as well and train link back to that. You can use the train brake on this as well, so there is some, you know, labor-intensive sounds that will apply, and then if you have the train brake all the way down, the locomotive obviously will stop. So that about wraps it up for using the Legacy remote and the Bluetooth app. Let's go ahead and run it around the layout. Now, I'm going to be running it with one of my MTH Santa Fe Chrome refrigeration cars, and then behind that I have some K-Line 15-inch heavyweight Santa Fe Super Chief passenger cars.
Gonna be here a while. Timetable has a pulling here for number 9. She's running about 20 minutes late. Finally, the high ball. Let's get rolling.
Okay, folks, that about wraps it up. Now, if you're interested in purchasing one of these engines, they came out about a week ago, so I don't think you should have any problems finding any of the road names that you want. So go down to your local hobby shop or browse the online catalogs for a lot of the big train online resellers, and I'm sure you'll be able to find the road name that you're looking for. These are fantastic engines. For the price, you can't beat the value and the detail. And the fact that you can run it with 4 different types of control is pretty amazing. So that means it's pretty adaptable for anyone's layout, and I highly recommend it. I also have the LionChief Plus 2.0 Big Boy. I was very, very happy with the way that ran, and these LionChief Plus 2.0s for me are just a home run for Lionel, and I can't wait to see some of the other new engines with this particular LionChief Plus 2.0 technology come down. Now, just a quick note, wanted everybody to know that I currently have a podcast. It's an O-Scale Train podcast. I'm doing it with Matt from Matt Train Lover 9943. So, he also has a YouTube channel. And if you're coming to my YouTube channel, you've probably been to his YouTube channel as well. So, Matt and I have the Matt and Matt O-Scale Train podcast. We can be found on Podbean. We can be found in your iTunes podcast library. You can find us on the Google Podcasts. So if you open those up and search for Matt and Matt O-Scale Trains podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. Listen to our podcast. We talk about nothing but O-Scale trains. There's no politics. There's no religion. It is family friendly. We talk about all kinds of things. We have an episode about how to get started in O-Scale trains. We just uploaded episode 5 about subways in the O-Scale industry, and we're having a lot of fun. We love it. We hope you love it too. So please, if you get a chance, go ahead and download that podcast and let us know what you think. Okay, folks, appreciate you watching West Chicago Railroad. I really had a lot of fun doing the review on this particular engine. Got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. Please go ahead and hit that like if you liked it. Leave a comment for me. Would appreciate if you could subscribe, hit that bell button. That way you'll get notified when I publish future episodes. And that about wraps it up. So again, thanks everybody, and have a great day.